The Houston Texans have a great chance to win it all this year. Last year, they took everybody by surprise when they went to the playoffs. They won 10 games, won the NFC South. This offseason, this team with the addition of Joe Mixon and Stefon Diggs, and you got CJ Stroud, who right now is in ascension mode. He's one of the best QBs in the game right now. This could be the best offense in the National Football League this year, man. They got the best wide receiving core in the game. You got Stefon and Tank Dell. These are two of the best route runners in the league. At least one of these dudes are going to be open on every passing play that the Texans attempt. And then you got Nico Collins, who's going to be a phenomenal deep threat when CJ Stroud wants to thread the needle downfield. If Houston's offensive line ends up playing at an average or slightly above average level or better this year, y'all better look out for this Texans offense, because how are you going to find a way to get these dudes off the field when they could run the ball against you with Joe Mixon? Joe Mixon is still a really good running back. And then you got a group of wide receivers that at least one person is going to be open every time CJ Stroud goes to drop back. And with the arsenal that CJ is going to be throwing to this year, you mean to tell me that he isn't going to be in the running to win MVP this year? Because he's my MVP pick right now. I know there's probably some other hot candidates out there who people like, but with you throwing to Tank Dell, Stefon, Don Schultz, I mean, it's just impossible for me to see any other quarterback but CJ Stroud winning MVP this year. Hell, we seem to forget for the majority of his rookie season last year, he was in the MVP discussion. Not only could Houston have a top 5, top 10 offense this year, but they also could have a top 10 defense this year. And their defense was really good year one under DeMeco Ryans. But imagine how deadly that unit's going to be this year when you draft Kamari Lassiter out of Georgia in this past year's draft. This dude is an incredible man-to-man press corner. And you pair him alongside of Derek Stingley, who really started to come on last year. And then you also have a safety group that has Jalen Petrie in the back end of things. Okay, I mean, like, this is a really good secondary, but also the pass rush is going to be really good. Will Anderson is going into year 2. He should be in for a double-digit sack season. And then you also picked up Danielle Hunter. The Texans literally have only one problem, and that's their offensive line. And if that unit ends up stepping up this year, I like the Texans to go all the way this year and win it all. They have a good enough team where they can beat Kansas City on the road in Arrowhead. The problem with playing Kansas City is that there are too many quarterbacks that can't come through in the big moments in crunch time. We know that's when Patrick Mahomes is at his best. CJ Stroud, I trust him to step up in the fourth quarter. I couldn't see CJ Stroud choking away a game when a Super Bowl trip is on the line in an AFC championship to Mahomes like Lamar and Josh Allen have done in years prior. CJ Stroud, when you look at him and you hear him talk, this is somebody who always keeps a level head. The moment never gets too bright for him. And this is somebody who galvanizes his team. When he talks to his teammates on the sidelines, they get energized. They believe in what this brother says, and they really believe that CJ Stroud is one of one. I remember watching a couple of mic'd ups last year, and there were several instances where the defenses tried to get a little bit extra with CJ Stroud after the play, and you could tell that those Houston Texans players, they weren't going for it, man. They were ready to knock somebody's block off for messing around with their quarterback, man. That tells you how much faith and confidence they have in CJ Stroud. And I look at him the same way I viewed Andrew Luck early into his career with the Indianapolis Colts. Andrew Luck carried Indianapolis all his years playing there. CJ Stroud, 1 year before he got there, the Texans were in the bottom dweller. Nobody even thought that they were ever going to be contenders ever again. Nobody even thought that they would be playoff contenders again. at least for the next decade or so, we thought that once Bill O'Brien traded away everybody and they got rid of Deshaun, they were going to be in a dark hole of despair for a very long time. But at one offseason, they hired the Miko Ryans, they get CJ Stroud, and all of a sudden, 2 years later, they find themselves right in the thick of the Super Bowl conversation. This is one of the most complete teams heading into this season. You got a great offense. You're going to have a great defense. If I had to give you guys my 3 AFC teams that I have the most confidence in to win it all this year, it would be Kansas City, Baltimore, and Houston right after them. Houston has everything that you need to beat Kansas City in the postseason. You're going to have a great defense. You're going to have a defensive-minded coach that's going to be able to game plan and find a way to slow down Patrick Mahomes and that Chiefs offense. And you're also going to have a guy in CJ Stroud that you can trust to make plays to get you the win, to potentially catapult you into the Super Bowl in the closing minutes of the game. I believe CJ Stroud is going to be the next big thing in this league. To me, he's already a top 5 quarterback, and he has potential to become arguably the second best quarterback after this season if he ends up winning MVP and leading the Texans to the Super Bowl. There are a small crowd of people who consider the Texans to be overrated and a little bit overhyped because of the amount of publicity that CJ Stroud and the Texans team has received this offseason. And I got to disagree with it. Of course, when you have a guy like CJ Stroud that's really marketable and he had the rookie season that he had, everybody's going to be talking about him. So, of course, when you have somebody that had the amount of success that he did and he was able to get a team in Houston that nobody expected too much of them to the postseason, people are going to want to talk about him, and people are going to talk about him in high regard. I'm really high on the Houston Texans this year. I expect them to go really far in the postseason. You're going to have a lead offense and defense. You got a fantastic coaching staff. You got a young quarterback in ascension mode right now. I would be very surprised if Houston's season ends anything other than at least the AFC Championship berth this year.